is ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV News Hour. I'm Frank Omalape, and here are some of the stories we're filing at this time. The recent attacks on Mubi and surrounding villages by insurgents have increased the number of displaced persons in Yola. Some religious organizations have joined in an effort to alleviate the suffering of the displaced persons. Speaking at a distribution center in Yola, the Catholic Bishop of Yola Diocese, Stephen Manza, says more efforts are needed to take care of the displaced persons, most of whom he says are not residents in camp.
There are still so many that have not been assisted up to now. And I just want to call on government to please see how they can identify those that are really badly in need. And most of those that are in need actually are with family members and friends. Those that are at the camp, the government is doing everything possible in order to take care of them. But those that are living with their family members, that is more than 98% of the displaced people, they live with their family members and friends. So these are the people that we really need to reach out to. And based on what we are distributing today, we are distributing to all those who are living with family members and friends.
The recipients thank the church for the gesture and call on the federal government to intensify efforts at fighting the insurgents.
People they run har baza munchka local government, so people they suffer.
State government should go and lay our complaint to federal government so that they will go and push that insurgent out of our town so that we will go. You see, it's not only giving us food that matters, but we want to go back to our various destinations.
Concerned about the security situation in northeast Nigeria, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is soliciting international support for the war against insurgency. He is also worried about the humanitarian situation aftermath the fall of Mubi, one of the largest towns in the region, to the insurgents. The former Vice President said at a news conference in Abuja that the world cannot afford to ignore the country at a time. Hundreds of thousands of people in northeast Nigeria are at a risk.
This is one of the scenes in one of the internally displaced person camps in Yola after the fall of Mubi to Boko Haram insurgents. It is also the reason why former Vice President Atiku Abubakar believes the time is ripe for the international community to come to Nigeria's aid. This, according to him, is because the country's leadership has failed the people of the affected region.
I call upon the international community to help us. I am making a special appeal to countries with sufficient know-how and experience in tackling terrorism to increase their assistance to us. The relief agencies that are already working here should please double their efforts. And all people of goodwill should help in any way they can and do more than they have been doing to alleviate the pain and suffering that we Nigerians face through this insurgency. This Boko Haram insurgency has been with us now for several years, but has in the last few days taken a step further towards being a disaster of unimaginable proportions. Hundreds of thousands of people are at risk. Nigeria needs world support. The world must not abandon Nigerians in our time of need.
He recounted how insurgents have in recent weeks taken over 16 local governments spread across 3 affected northeast states, which has led to thousands of displaced persons. The former vice president, who was accompanied by senators from the region, say the humanitarian situation is worrisome.
In Yobe, only 2 local governments are being occupied by Boko Haram, Gujiba and Gulani, and then in Adamawa, you now have 5, Madagali, Michika, Mubi North, Mubi South, and Maiha. And in Borno, about 9 local governments, Bama, Ngala, Dikwa, Kalabare, Mafa, Marche, Goza, Dambua, Gulani, Gujiba. So that is the exact, areas that are being occupied. Ever since, this terrorist, group have been taking one territory or the other, there was never a time the Nigerian military has recovered 1 inch of any lost territory in these 5 years.
And inevitably, there were questions on what he would have done if he was the president at a time like this.
My response time would have been very, very, very minimal. And secondly, I would have used a large part of the fighting force to come from those areas where the insurgency is, because they know the terrain better than any other Nigerian you can take.
For now, the former vice president is of the view that the situation has gone out of hands, and the earlier the international community comes to Nigeria's aid, the better for the rest of the world.
As the battle against Boko Haram rages on in the country, former Nigerian President Olusegun has commended efforts by the federal government to register all citizens in the country. The former president who gave the commendation at his Abuja home in Ogun State, where he received officials of the National Identity Management Commission, however, said the scheme was long overdue.
We have been having, and I hope that this is permanent.
Yes, sir.
I hope so. Is that we've been going from one to the other. But 2 things have changed. When in 1979 I first approached the idea of identity card, there were protests. Those who felt that this would be used by the police, it will be used by the intelligence, and my brothers here, their predecessors, the media, went to town. Today, I think there's no whimper of any objection or any protest, which is, of course, what progress we have made. That this project will enhance security within this country. Yes. It will also make easy the intelligence gathering or not gathering in the country. But let me once again thank you.
Thank you, sir,
for taking the trouble to.
The Inspector General of Police, Suleiman Abba, has inaugurated a police committee on the prevention and management of communal clashes. The committee is co-chaired by 6 Assistant Inspectors General of Police, including Christopher Dega, Mohammed Abubakar, Yola Deni, and Felix Uyana. Others are Yahaya Ado, Joseph Mbu, and Rashid Akitunde, a Commissioner of Police who serves as this committee's secretary. Speaking at the inauguration, the IG said the move is in line with his resolve to end pervasive communal clashes that have plagued different parts of the nation. The terms of reference of the committee include to encourage and facilitate dialogue among warring parties. The committee members are also to mediate between aggrieved parties with a view to resolving declared differences and, where necessary, conduct investigation into incidents. A federal high court in Abuja has stopped lawmakers elected on the platform of the People's Democratic Party from reconvening the House of Representatives. Justice Ahmed Mohammed issued the order in a ruling on an ex parte motion filed by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Aminu Tambo, and the All Progressive Congress. Justice Mohammed ordered all the parties in the suit to maintain status quo at least until Friday, when the suit will be heard. We also directed that the defendants be served, as well as to appear in court on Friday to show cause why the prayers sought by APC lawmakers should not be granted. The opposition lawmakers were led to court by Minority Leader Femi Gbajabiamila.
Provided by the House, outside of Section 60 of the Constitution, which allows, which gives the House unfettered powers to regulate its own proceedings. Any such move will be illegal and unconstitutional and null and void. We know it, they know it, but to make assurances that we're sure, let the courts make a pronouncement on that. To the ruling PDP. I'm not sure whether the Inspector General of Police was still undergoing residual legal studies at that time, that he was not aware that there had been such decampment, and he did not do anything about it. If you look at our Constitution very closely in Section 42, it says that nobody shall be discriminated against on the basis of his political opinion for another person. If you did not withdraw the security aids of the Speaker of the Ondo State Assembly, then there's no reason that you should remove the aids of the Speaker of the National Assembly. That is discrimination against the provisions of Section 42.
The most important thing that I want to talk about is the impeachment issue that is being bandied around. We need to be very careful. The Speaker has nothing to lose, absolutely nothing. If you go and get 50 members somewhere to illegally impeach the Speaker, then 50 members elsewhere can equally impeach someone who is higher than the Speaker. So we should watch it, because the hunter can become the hunted in this matter. The reality of the issue is that the APC members are ready. We've been calm. We want to exhaust the legal means. Politically, we have every capacity to deal with this issue. And in the next few days, Nigerians will...
It's the CoreTV News Hour. We'll take a break now. We'll be back shortly. Do join us again.
There is an Ebola virus epidemic in some West African countries. The Nigerian government wants you to be aware and watch out against the spread of Ebola in your community. Help keep our country safe and watch out for severe cases of fever, headaches, diarrhea, chest and abdominal pain, sore throat, cough, red eyes, and bleeding from the eyes, ears, and nose, especially when these symptoms are found in persons coming into Nigeria from other West African countries. Protect yourself. Wash your hands regularly with soap and running water, or use a hand sanitizer. Avoid contact with the blood, urine, feces, or saliva of animals like bats, monkeys, gorillas, chimpanzees, or infected persons. The Ebola virus is deadly. Don't catch it. Don't spread it. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Glad to have you back now. For more information on our news and other programs, visit our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/CoreTV News. And our Twitter handle at CoreTV News NG. You can also log on to youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space, the news. The People's Democratic Movement is prepared to offer its platform to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar to run for the presidency if he fails to secure the presidential ticket of the All Progressive Congress. PDM National Chairman Bashir Yusuf, however, noted that it is left for the former Vice President to approach the party and not the other way around. He, however, denies Atiku's involvement in the affairs of the party.
Atiku is a candidate for PDM. I think that's a question for Atiku, honestly. It's not a question for PDM, because... Yeah, but you see, the law does not allow a political party to stop anyone from running for an office on the platform of the political party. So we are obliged by law, if he wants to run on the platform of our party, to give him the opportunity. It's not by choice, it's by law. So if he wants to come into our party, we can't stop him. The party must be open to all Nigerians. And if he comes, wants to run for election, we can't stop him. We must give him the opportunity to run. If he wins, we have to field him. So it's a matter of law, it's not a matter of choice.
The national leadership of the ruling People's Democratic Party has opened its doors for other presidential aspirants in the party. It has now resolved to sell nomination forms to those who may want to contest the presidential primary with President Goodluck Jonathan. The PDP, however, insists that the deadline for the collection of forms remains Thursday, November 6. One of the presidential aspirants in the party, Abdul Jalid Tafa Balewa, has been battling the PDP hierarchy for the presidential nomination form and voiced his displeasure over the idea of consensus candidates being promoted by the party until now. Imo State Governor Rochas Okorocha has said that he is the only presidential aspirant in the All Progressive Congress that has the capacity to dislodge President Goodluck Jonathan in 2015. Also argued that if the APC fails to field him, it will lose the presidential election willfully to the People's Democratic Party. Okorocha, who was speaking at a rally organized by a northern group, Arewa People's Grand Coalition in Kaduna, said his achievements in office show what he could do if he becomes president. Earlier, he had visited the Emir of Zazzau, Shehu Idris, and laid the foundation for Rocha's free secondary school education in the Emirate. Nigeria's security authorities have threatened to come down hard on any attempt to derail the electoral process. They also warned journalists against being used to truncate the process leading to the 2015 general elections. The National Security Advisor, Sambo Dasuki, issued a warning at the opening of a two-day workshop for journalists on security consciousness and awareness in Abuja. The NSA was represented by Director in his office, Ambassador Laiwola Lasende.
It's disheartening to know that sections of the media and some unpatriotic politicians are busy deriding the present administration for their selfish interest. It encourages divisiveness and fuels insurgency and insecurity across the nation. Any further attempt to derail our common resolve to forge a united, peaceful, and prosperous Nigeria will be rebuffed by the relevant security agencies. And I assure you there will never be sacred cows.
Say that security is not the preserve of security agencies or those who have to manage our security. It is all our collective responsibility. My only problem is that when we talk to you, the media, the ones that manage the perception of Nigerians, that once we leave, it's like the rest lives with us. We don't continue to sensitize the Nigerian public. If not, what happened recently in Gombe, we would have been able to manage it in terms of casualties. There would have been less. So I want to seize this opportunity to say, let us find a tiny corner, either in our dailies or in our news summary or news analysis on how best we can sensitize Nigerians to be more conscious of their environment.
Lecturers at the Adiniro Ogunsanya College of Education in Lagos are calling on the state government to intervene in its ongoing crisis. They stage a protest to draw the attention of the authorities to the development. A correspondent, Olajumoke Olatuji, has more.
Education, they say, is the bedrock of any nation. The developed nations did not attain their level of development by merely wishing for it. Their dreams and aspirations were actualized through a planned, well-thought-out, executed education system, taking into consideration the welfare of staff and students, as well as good learning environment. This is at Adiniro Ogunsanya College of Education in the Janiki area of Lagos. Expectedly, learning is supposed to be taking place, but to the shocker of CoreTV News, these lecturers have resorted to whiling away their time on the draft table. We are in the middle of a protest. Among the grievances is the issue of dilapidated structures scattered around the college.
This clinic is Lagos State government. We are saying, we are crying now that we don't want to experience synagogue scenario again. You can see, this is eyesore, and it shouldn't be.
Added to this rot is the financial recklessness on the part of the management and abuse of schools' subvention fund.
The management of this institution for the past 17 months has deducted the pensions of every staff and failed to remit it to the appropriate pension administrators. As if that was not enough, our cooperative, which belongs to every members, the management also deducted and failed to remit to appropriate cooperative up to the tune of over 150 million naira. And the implication of this is this: members can no longer access their pensions.
We discovered that they are even owing the PTA. They didn't remit the money to the PTA to the tune of 8 million naira. The management, it's like the issue has passed their level, because I don't think they will be able to afford to pay all those money, because the money is going to the tune of 600 million, which I don't think the management will be able to refund on their own, except with the aid of the state government.
As one of the oldest colleges of education in the state, the teachers are craving for equal treatment given to all the higher institutions in the state. Olajumoke Olatunji, CoreTV News, Lagos.
We'll take another break on CoreTV News Hour. We're back shortly. Do join us again.
One continent, 54 countries, over 2,000 languages, but united in similar interests. As news breaks, we give you in-depth analysis around Africa every Monday on CoreTV News.
And outside Nigeria now, the African Union has given Burkina Faso's military a 2-week deadline to hand power over to a civilian ruler or face sanctions. The AU said the army had acted unconstitutionally when it took over after President Blaise Compaoré was forced to resign last Friday. The military said a civilian-led transitional government will be established as quickly as possible. Compaoré resigned after mass protests to end his 27-year rule on Saturday. The military named Isaac Zeda, previously second in command of the Presidential Guard, as the new interim ruler. A popular revolt led to Compaoré's resignation, but the military takeover was against democracy, said AU official Simeon Oyono-Ezono following a meeting of the body's Peace and Security Council in Ethiopia. The AU will apply sanctions against Burkina Faso if the military fails to give up power within 2 weeks. The AU's Peace and Security Council is expected to meet again in 2 weeks' time to discuss the crisis. Well, and in sports now, the Confederation of African Football has named Egyptian George Zaglor Grisha as referee for next week's 2015 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying showdown between Nigeria and Congo-Brazzaville in Pontenor. Grisha will be assisted by compatriot Tashim Abu El-Sadi Bidea, Assistant Referee 1, Ahmed Abu Elila, Assistant Referee 2, and Mahmoud Asho, Reserve Referee. CAF also named Abubakar Alim Konati from Cameroon as commissioner, while Moroccan Nassiri Al-Bedali will be security officer. The game is slated to start at 3:30 p.m. Congo time, which is 2:30 p.m. in Nigeria. Saving Keshi's 25-man squad for the battle are expected to start arriving in Abuja from Sunday next week. Well, and that's a wrap on CoreTV News at this time. Many thanks for watching. I am Frank Omalape. I'll see you again.